e-cigarette. Anyway, response video to Pyro on this whole zero-sum thing. I mean, we're still going to have to beat this to death. I'll paraphrase him. I won't bother playing the video because I know it takes a long time and blah, blah, blah. So I won't do that every time. So he's just still basically arguing that there's some way you can bend this whole thing, this desire equation, and somehow make sense out of it, like you're actually accomplishing something. So in the human circumstance, I would say that, look, even if we perfect it, even if we get it to be really, really good, we do know, I think you might agree, that there's a certain amount of, there's a certain amount of that pain thing you gotta know for you to know the pleasure. And so unless you create the illusion of having experienced pain, which is quite possible in the future, like fake memories, a fake identity, a fake psychology, you'd have to, educate somebody to appreciate. And that education is usually going to come through hard knocks, a real heartbreak. So even if it doesn't, like I said, even if in some sort of perfect scenario, you eliminate all the real harsh pain and just leave the good kind of, the good deprivation, like the want, I hate to be vulgar but yeah, these are the ones that, these are the real substance of life as I can find it. The want of an erect penis. That's kind of a good deprivation. Hunger, just the right amount of hunger. It's kind of a good deprivation. Those kind of drives are kind of good, and those aren't the ones. They come from a different place inside of the organism. They're not directly a get me out of the pain kind of desire. They are more of a pure addiction. And so yeah, maybe there's some, maybe we can perceive them as being positive motivators, but that just might be because of our perspective, because we have such a screwed up perception. We're so bludgeoned and been beaten so badly through our conscious experience that we don't really appreciate the negative anymore, and we'll take a little bit of negative, we'll see it as a positive just because we're so screwed up. But maybe if you had some perfect sentience that was cleansed of all that negative realization, maybe that wouldn't be a possible perception. But I don't know. Like I said, it's no point in beating it to death. The point of the zero sum is that even if you perfect this game, this chase, yeah, okay, I'll concede, and it's not a zero sum anymore, because you've engineered it so that you've taken all the harsh out of it and all the real hard pain, and so then you have this pure addiction thing, blah blah blah, and so maybe there's an excuse to run the machine. But yeah, that is so far removed from anything in our near future as a human race, for sure, and even the long future. It seems like how are we even going to get to a long future? And for what? For this desperate hope that you can create this perfect environment for a human being to live in, where everything is so well maximized, optimized is the right word, I guess. All right, then you take the animal world, and you just sit there and say that somehow the animal equation's working out. It's just the same old crappy argument that comes up over and over and over again. Like somehow, because you just say so, you just pull it out of your ass and say it's balanced. There's some sort of balance between the suffering and the pleasure, and it somehow makes sense. And it's just a pile of crap. I mean, most animals spend their life fighting through real hard times. The environment beats them to pieces. The competition they have to fight with beats them to pieces. I mean, it's really not, they don't get a whole bunch of that. They'll just lie in the sun and wallow in the magic of it all kind of moments. I mean, they have them, but they're just moments. And most of their time is spent really eking out an existence. And then when you start getting into lower and lower organisms, it's just such a disgusting existence. I mean, like a fish, I just spend 10 years chasing food and, do your reproduction thing and drop dead. I mean, what the hell is that? I certainly wouldn't want to be stuck in that state of material squirming. But anyway, the bottom line is that we still got to go all the way back and just look at the origin of the damn thing. Consumption and reproduction. You can keep glorifying this, but all that means is addiction and consumption. I mean, that's what it turns into for any organism with a brain, right? Addiction and consumption. And we basically end up being addicted to things that will end up projecting us into that reproduction mode. So most of the things that we're end up addicted to are really focused on that ego thing, on that alpha thing, on that, you know, what's going to make me more powerful and more commanding, and more women will want me, and I'll be more desirable, and I'll be more, and you know, it ends up being that kind of psychology in the end. So that's all it is. And so it's, again, the DNA is just always showing itself. It's always revealing its control of our circumstance. And you know, you're just going to keep making rationalizations to get around that. And to me, they're just like a religion. They're just, what's the difference? You're just contriving some sort of Garden of Eden bullshit, some sort of, there's purpose underlying all this crap somehow, and it's not just crap. It's just crap. It's just projections of value that could be anything. I mean, instead of you know, Shakespeare getting me off, I could say, oh, flashlight gets me off. You know, with just a conditioning, it's just a matter of warping a brain a little bit different, and a different object to be the source of the comfort or the beauty. It's crap. It's made up of nothing. And the only thing intelligence can do with this is to try to find some way. Like I said, it's a problem solver. And so that's the doom of the whole thing, is if you ever actually accomplished the zero sum, if you actually ever perfected this thing, the intelligence wouldn't have any function at all anymore, except to entertain whatever was left of the addicted beastie that needed entertaining. It just, your intelligence would just be an entertainment device. And so the character of whatever it is you call life would be completely distant from its origins, which is fine with me, but I know all you people, all you naturalists, find that offensive. Well, you're not as bad as the rest of them, so no, I didn't mean to imply you were against virtual reality or technical solutions, because you're not. But yeah, this is a pig's ass, and like I said, you good people are going to keep contriving ways, like, how can we turn this into something? How can we turn this fucking pig's ass into like a steam engine or something? And it's just like, you're just sitting there with your feathers and your bullshit and your glue, and you're trying to turn into something, and it's just not in the, you can't make it out of what's real. You can only make it mean something by playing with the vocabulary, or you know, manipulating concepts to try to sit there and jump over a truth, like our origins, or the truth that nature is no fucking fun. That, you know, if you had to live in it, you wouldn't be so enamored with the pointlessness of it, you know. So I don't know if I need to push it any further. Yeah, I mean, but there's two parts, I guess. There's more than one angle you can look at the zero-sum argument I'm making, but it's not some sort of, I mean, I don't have any obligation to make it some sort of explicit, this is the absolute truth, it is zero-sum. No, I mean, it might be tiny little, you know, one mini screwdriver above zero-sum might be the possibility. But that's all it's going to be, because all it is pushing buttons on a little sense organ, and trying to do it in such a way as that you have enough pleasure to justify any suffering imposed. And again, the only thing that pushes us through the suffering is the addiction. Without the addiction, this addict would not want the life. He would not see justification in any of the horror that's imposed in struggling to get there. It just would make no sense at all. So it's only the addiction, the projections that our desire imposes on the world that makes this seem like something I should chase. Oh, I should chase this. That's it. Without the chase gene, there's nothing. And you sort of justify that as if we should be obedient to it. And the intelligent thing to do is to recognize that we are controlled by bullshit. And that's part of being objective. And you say we can only do it through the subjective human form. Well, fuck that. No, we have an intelligence. The intelligence can understand the subjective prejudices, and we can eradicate them from influencing the objective philosophical conversation. We already know it's illegitimate for you to say, you know, something's really preposterously stupid, like women's is dumb. We know that's not a valid statement anymore. And so there's lots of stuff we know is not valid anymore. And it's just not valid to sit there and say, well, we can't separate our subjective self. Well, of course we can. We can recognize its influences. And eventually, that's the whole point of this, is to find the truth, independent of that addiction, that addictive personality, independent of that heroin addiction, to evaluate the heroin. And if that's not what we're doing, then we're fooling ourselves. We're lying. We're being intellectually dishonest, and we're insulting our intelligence. Because our intelligence is quite capable of admitting we're assholes, or we're apes, or we're lizards, and being able to avoid the influences of those elements of our psychology. There, now it's enough. All right, till next time.